Alright, welcome. So before we start this video, I'm just going to quickly announce that my paid ebook, is now for sale, and you can also book a coaching call with me if you want. Just one-time one-on-one call for now, and I'm working on developing a full coaching program. That'll be sometime down the line. Right now you can just book calls with me, and you can check out the ebooks that I have in that first link in the description. So this video, why humans started meditating. So I don't actually know why humans started meditating. I can't go back and have a conversation with the first human to ever meditate, right? So I don't know the exact answer to this question, right? Why did humans start meditating? But I do know from my experience in meditation, I know why we would have developed such a skill or such a tool, right? I know what reasons we might have had for seeking out and then eventually finding such a tool like meditation, and then why we might have used it and what we might have used it for originally, at least. All right, so now in the modern day, a lot of people meditate for focus, a lot of people meditate for things like mental clarity, but before modern technology, these things were normal, right? It was normal to have a good attention span. So I believe there are other reasons why humans would have originally started meditating or discovered meditation and started to use meditation. So we're going to quickly talk about that. So the first thing is our disconnection from divinity. So we as human beings are divine beings by nature, but because of the actions that we've taken, because of the sin that we've committed, we have actually fell from grace. We have lost touch with divinity. We have lost our connection with divinity, with the divine. So humanity's fall from grace started with lust. It started with the original sin, which was sexual indulgence, which was orgasm, which was abuse of the sexual power, right? And that abuse of the sexual power, right, it was an indulgence in ourself, right, in our being. The reason why an orgasm feels good is because it is a intense movement of our energy, our solar, spiritual, and sexual energy through our body. Problem is, it is being all focused in one area, and then it eventually bursts and explodes, and we lose that energy, right? But it feels good because of that movement of energy, right? That movement of ourself that we feel temporarily, briefly, for a quick moment, but then we lose that energy at the same time. And because we are indulging in ourselves, right? Indulging in our own being, but then losing that essence, right? That's a sin, that's an act against ourselves, right? And so because we've done that, and then we eventually continue to do that, and still to this day we continue to commit this same sin, because humanity decided that pleasure was more important, even for that one brief moment, right? And then it continued to happen over and over again. Eventually we fell from grace, which was representative of our being cast from the higher realms, right? Cast from the spiritual worlds. We lost our spiritual sight. We lost our ability to see within the other realms within this reality, right? We are stuck and fixated into the physical. So because we had fell from grace, because we solidified ourselves into the physical, we now need certain tools in order to access that divine power again. So what has happened as a result of this disconnection is self-created chaos. So basically, because we have now discovered emotions like fear, pain, suffering, guilt and shame, hatred, right, regret, things like this, we've developed these new emotions, these new states of being, and as a result of us losing connection with the divine, with that spiritual sight and that guidance that we have within the spiritual worlds, right? Because we lost connection with that, we have started to create our own chaos. We've started to create our own suffering, create our own problems, our own issues, right? And this is because without purpose, without clear direction, without clear purpose, we naturally gravitate towards creating chaos, creating problems, creating issues, things to overcome. Right? So these are all created realities, right? Self-imposed realities that are created by the mind and the ego, right? And so because we no longer have a divine power to look up to, the mind and the ego eventually became our main power, right? Our main God. We now worship the mind and the ego over true divinity. And because the mind and the ego had started to gain power, gain potential, these created chaoses, right? These created negative realities started to manifest more and more and more and more. And then they started to clash with one another, right? This is what creates things like war, right? Because these egos, these minds, these chaotic inner realities are clashing. So there's a way out, and meditation is that way out. Meditation is the cure, right? Because in meditation, what we're doing, we're learning to dissolve the mind and the ego, and allow ourselves to become the powerhouse again, right? Give ourselves the power back over our body, over our mind, and that gives us the control to then direct our attention where it actually needs to go, right? So instead of being stuck in this loop of being blind to the reality of this world, right, we actually can begin to see it again. We can see it for what it is, right? We can start to dissolve the perceptions and the preconceived notions that we have for reality and actually experience it for what it is, bringing ourselves into the present moment and killing these egos, dissolving that self-created chaos and bringing ourselves closer again to that divine being, right? That God that you believe in, whatever it is, right? Bringing ourselves closer to that. So when we meditate for long enough, right, and if we do meditate for long enough and we focus and we put in the right amount of effort, right, we can eventually use it as a means of attaining enlightenment. And so this was the main reason that I think humanity discovered meditation, was because we needed a means or a tool in order to attain enlightenment again, in order to attain our spiritual sight, our ability to see beyond what we can physically see, right? And so using meditation as a means of reclaiming divinity, reclaiming our own divinity as human beings, and reclaiming our touch and our connection with the divine, right? And so my prediction for why humans started meditating was we lost connection, we lost touch with the divine source, that God, that being that created us, and so we need a means of, or a tool, in order to move back in that direction, right? And I think meditation is that tool. So stillness and its power. Pretty much all great philosophers, all great businessmen, right, they understand the power of stillness, right? So philosophers, for example, would sit in stillness for long extended periods of time and then just think, right? Think and write their thoughts down, right? Businessmen do the same thing when they're coming up with business ideas, right? When they're contemplating on a challenge, right? They will sit in stillness and contemplate on it and become aware of all of the possibilities. And they will do this in a moment of stillness when nothing else is around them, nothing else is distracting them. And they understand the power of stillness. They understand the power of thinking in stillness, right? Because this stillness, this presence, allows ideas to come to them, right? It allows them to attract ideas to them. Religion, for example, is another one, right? So prayer would be a type or a form of meditation, right? So religion respects stillness, right? It respects meditation through prayer, right? And this is directly a means of accessing or becoming closer to their God, right? That moment of stillness and prayer, right? So modern spirituality, we understand the power and the implications of presence and the importance of the present moment, right? You'll see that a lot of spiritual gurus nowadays, one of the first things that they will recommend is always meditation. Why? Because it's effective, right? Because it works. It actually is a valid tool to bring you closer to the divine. It's a valid tool to refine the contents of the mind and to become sharper, to become smarter, right? To become more present, right? To become clearer, right? So modern spirituality understands the power of this practice. And then obviously, so the real power of stillness, the real power of presence, is that we can access all realities within this one reality, right? Within this one moment. Any future reality we want to experience, we actually access that, we actually get to that through the present moment, by being in the present moment, right? So by being in the present moment, we give ourselves the ability to access different realities, different opportunities, right? Different things that might come into our lives. And so by being present, by being still, we never miss opportunity, right? If you have a goal, the opportunity to create that outcome, the opportunity to pursue that goal is within the present moment, right? If you cannot become present and quiet the mind enough to find it, then that is because of the mind's over being too loud, right? The mind is too loud for you to hear or see or perceive that opportunity. But once you can turn the mind off and become present, then that opportunity will present itself, right? So before I end the video, I want to talk about why I personally started meditating. So I don't really have an idea of why original humans started meditating, right? But I thought I'd talk about some of the reasons why early humans might have sought out meditation as a practice. But now I'm going to start talking about my personal reasons for meditating, why I personally started meditating, right? So the first thing was more focus and mental clarity. So because with meditation, you build and develop the skill of focus, and you also clear the mind. You learn to dissolve thoughts and empty the mind, right? And so it gives you a level of mental clarity that not many other practices can, and it trains your focus. It develops your focus, right? Which is great. So presence, right? Developing more presence. And as I just explained, the more present you are, the more you can accomplish, the more you can do. The more present I am with this video, the better it's going to come out. Period. End of story, right? So the more I'm focused on this moment, this video, what I'm saying right now, the better it comes out. The more I start thinking about, let's say, the next video I have to record, the worse this video is going to start to come out. Does that make sense? Because my attention is now in the mind and not here, creation. So next thing was control over the mind. So in meditation, we start to develop control over our minds, right? So our minds, for most, are currently in control, are currently the ones running the show, right? So what we can do is we can start to actually regain our control of the mind, regain authority over the mind. And this is just done by by simply observing the mind in meditation, and then as it tries to pull you in certain directions, redirect it. Better ability to manifest. So the more focused you are, the more present you are, the more awareness and consciousness you have, right? The more you can manifest. The faster you can manifest, the more fully you can manifest something, right? And so it just develops your skill and your ability to manifest, right? Because what is manifestation? It is aligning the internal worlds with a certain reality and then taking action accordingly until you create that reality, right? So meditation will train you and teach you how to actively control the internal world and actively alter and change the state of the internal world. So that's another one, is actually the inner worlds. So it starts to develop your ability to work within the inner worlds, and this is a little bit more advanced, right? So the deeper you get into meditation, the more you'll become aware of the inner worlds, right? And this is the universe within the universe, right? So the universe contained within. And basically, the universe, or the reality we live in, is a macrocosm of the microcosm. We are the microcosm, right? So the universe, the entire external universe, is actually a reflection of our internal world, our internal universe, right? So we as souls, we as beings, are a universe in and of ourselves. So when we start to explore and work within the inner worlds, we start to control reality itself. We start to change and alter the aspects of ourselves that are blocking certain outcomes, right? And then we can start to add certain aspects to ourselves that will create certain outcomes, right? And so as we start to learn how to work within the inner worlds, work within our energy fields, right? Work within our mind, work within the heart, right? We work within these spaces within the body, and this is inner work, right? This is the work within the inner worlds. So, a way to reach God or my soul. So me personally, I don't believe in an external God. I believe in, the way I would describe God would be the reality that we experience is God. The bodies that we are borrowing and inhabiting are God, and we are the soul. We are the being, right? We are the essence, the consciousness that is experiencing this reality, right? So we're the observer experiencing the reality. God is the reality, right? God manifests himself as this existence. So I see meditation as a means of reaching this God, right? Because if he is the present moment, then by simply bringing myself more into that present moment, I have a deeper and more direct connection to that God, as well as to myself, my soul, my higher being, right? I integrate more of that aspect of me, more of that inner soul, that true being, through meditation. And so the more I meditate, the closer I actually become to myself. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you're still watching, go and check out the link in the description. Alright, check out the ebooks. There's going to be a free one up very soon, as well as the current paid one. And if you want to book a call, you can have a conversation with me. I can teach you something, or if you need help with your goals and creating like a routine or something, changing habits, anything, you can talk to me. You can ask me questions and I'll help you through that. But that's it from me, and peace.